You are watching Sammy the Interviewing Toucan, made possible by the Indiana Young Readers Center. Hey, everybody, I'm Sammy, and I'm here today with Ray Boomhower. Hi, Ray, how are you today?
Good, Sammy. How are you doing?
Gosh, I'm great. I'm so excited to be talking to you. You're like an Indiana historical treasure.
Well, thank you. I'm getting up there in age, so I think that fits in right well.
Well, I didn't mean it that way, but it works out, right?
It
So,
works out.
awesome. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to Indiana?
Sure. I was born and raised in Mishawaka, Indiana, up in the northern part of the state, as we say up there, about 5 miles from the Golden Dome of Notre Dame University. I went to school there, got very interested in journalism when I was at Mishawaka High School. So that led me to Indiana University in Bloomington, where I majored in journalism and political science, had classes at Ernie Pyle Hall, worked on the Indiana Daily Student newspaper, and from there went into local journalism in Indiana on a couple of Indiana newspapers. That path led me eventually to the Indiana Historical Society, where I've been working since 1987. I've been lucky enough to do a number of books for the Indiana Historical Society and other publishers in the state, as well as serve as editor of the Society's popular history magazine, Traces of Indiana and Midwestern History. So that puts me in touch with a lot of Indiana writers and artists, and I've really enjoyed working on the magazine.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Traces is a great magazine. It's a great publication. I know lots of libraries that would be really sad not to get their copy. So thank you so much for all of your work on that.
Libraries are great, they're an important part of Indiana in its history and its current day as well.
Well, you sound like you're a Hoosier through and through.
I am. I enjoy writing about notable people from Indiana. That's kind of been a minor specialty of mine in writing biographies of Hoosiers who have made a difference not only in our state, but nationally and internationally as well.
I have one of your books here. This is Mr. President, A Life of Benjamin Harrison. I know you've done another book that's all about suffrage. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I did a book on a suffrage leader and a reformer named May Wright Sewell, who was very important to the suffrage cause. She was an ally to such pioneers as Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony. Very involved with the women's movement, very involved in educating young women for higher education. Was a reformer who fought on behalf of peace, but really had a national and international focus because she was kind of the leader behind the establishment of two important organizations, the American Council of Women and the International Council of Women. And so I was lucky enough to write about her and all she did, not only for Indianapolis, her memory is still alive today, as well as her national work and her international.
I love that. And I know I put you on the spot to talk about her. So thank you so
No,
much.
no problem.
Also, since we're on the topic of Hoosiers, can we just talk about the word Hoosier?
That is probably the number one question I get from people when I go out of the state, when I travel to do research. People are fascinated by that topic. And there's a serious answer, and there's a lot of not so serious answers. The serious answers, I wrote about an individual named Jacob Pyatt Dunn Jr. He was an Indiana historian, very important in the history of the Indiana Historical Society as well. But Dunn did a thorough study of the word Hoosier and where it came from. And he saw it mentioned a lot in the South. And he found that it came originally from the Cumberland dialect of England, from the word Hoosier, Hoozer, which meant high hill. And eventually it came to be known as someone who was from the hill country or the backwoods. Settlers from England brought it with them to Indiana. And it really was popularized in the state from a poem by John Finley called The Hoosier's Nest, which was printed in a special issue of the Indianapolis Journal way back in 1833. And it gradually became, applied to people from Indiana. And now, James Whitcomb Riley, who of course is known as the Hoosier poet, had a funny story that he used to tell people when they asked him what Hoosier meant. he said that the laborers along the Ohio River in Indiana were such tough fighters that they often would go to a bar and late at night do a lot of fighting, a lot of activity like that. And the next morning, the bar owner would come into his tavern and see that the fighting was so rough that ears were actually torn off of people. So he'd hold up the ear and say, "Whose ear? Whose ear?" And that became known as Hoosier. So and I take that with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. That's so funny. I'm sure you've heard the one knock knock, who's there?
Who's right?
Who's
People would
there?
knock on
You know?
Pioneer's door and they say, "Who's there? Who's there?" And they came Hoosier. There was supposedly a businessman named John Hoosier who hired people for work on a canal project, and they were known as Hoosier's Men. And so Hoosier became applied to people from Indiana for that.
Though, I really like the part about the English Cumberland dialect. To me, that makes a ton of sense.
It does. And there have been further research. There was an article in the 1995 Indiana Magazine of History talking about a African American itinerant preacher named Harry Hoosier, who used to do a lot of preaching in Indiana. And so the article's authors said maybe that's where Hoosier came from. So that's another theory. People are coming up with different theories all the time, and that's the great thing about history is you find out these new things even after you think supposedly an issue has been settled. Someone digs up some new information that causes you to rethink your ideas about a subject.
Yeah, that's one of the things I always like to try to make sure students understand. History is always changing.
Right, new interpretations can be found. Attitudes change over time, and sometimes we have to adjust the way we think about a particular subject because the new evidence that is presented to us.
Absolutely. Well, gosh, Ray, this has been so great. Do you have a little show and tell for us today?
I do, and during the time of COVID and being stuck in offices and at home, I've been lucky enough to be able to come to the office to do my work at the Historical Society in recent months. And I have an item that I keep near my desk for inspiration. And it's something I picked up when I was doing one of my book projects. I did a biography of Hoosier World War II correspondent Ernie Pyle. So I have the G.I. Joe action figure that Hasbro did of Ernie Pyle, complete with his shovel, his portable typewriter he used in World War II, and the front page of a newspaper featuring his famous column on the death of Captain Waskow, which is one of his best known from World War II. So, in times of trouble, I turned to Ernie for inspiration, realizing that he was able to produce fine work in very severe conditions, and I should do no less.
Oh, I love that. And I think that's such a great thing for everybody to think about during these tough times that we're in for sure. There's so many people that came before us that really had it very tough, including our friend Ernie. So, I love that. Well, gosh, Ray, this has been
Thank you.
so delightful. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Sammy, I appreciate talking to you as well, and hope you have a good day.
All right. Well, everyone, this is your favorite Hoosier Toucan, encouraging you all to read local. So long.
Bye bye.